Hello everyone, and welcome to another Wicker Biscuit.
Welcome.
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
Oh, so good.
Oh,
Good.
I'm just getting over a cold, so I might sound weird this episode. But trust me, it's Ryan. It's me.
Yeah, it's Orion.
And I went from a cold to a ball game weekend, so we were yelling all, you know, as you would.
Sure.
He's a little hoarse.
Well, let's just so everybody knows who's talking. Let's go through and do the introductions first. So first up, we got
Lisa.
Hey, Lisa. Next,
Ryan.
hey, Ryan. And
This is
then
Carl.
Hey, Carl.
Courtney.
Hey, Courtney.
And then there's Amanda.
And then there's Amanda.
I did it myself, too.
All right.
And then
Sisters.
Now that we got that out of the way.
For themselves. Don't sue us.
It's back to fill me in on how everybody's doing.
Is the fishing opener this weekend? I don't know.
It was last weekend.
It was last weekend.
Yeah.
I know it was like this week, but I didn't know if it was last weekend or this weekend.
Yeah, it's always the first Saturday in May, or first. Is it the
Well,
first
that's
Saturday
the-
after a full week in May?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
It was this last weekend.
Yeah.
This week's episode, we're talking about personal icks, things that make us go ew, icky, icky. That's
As opposed to things that make you go,
love that song. Yeah. So we're trying to shoot for. I mean, anything's game. Anything that makes you go bleh. But I think the real fun ones are when it's stuff that's kind of normal, and most people are like, "What?"
Stuff that ordinary people would just go, it wouldn't bother them.
For example, I don't like it when a ketchup is on a cheeseburger on top of the cheese.
Oh,
But the cheese needs to go on top of the hamburger, but the ketchup shouldn't go on the bottom.
Oh,
So it,
Okay.
you're walking to a very tough solution there for
and
yourself.
I thought
also
for-
the ketchup cannot go directly on the bun because I don't like soggy bread.
Okay.
So it's
There's-
quite a conundrum for me.
So
But if someone else makes it and I just don't see the order that they put it on, I don't care.
So how would you feel if someone was like cutting up their burger and like dipping it in ketchup?
I like that. I do that.
Sometimes I do that with the last bite. Like it's just so good.
No.
Like
what if somebody, it's like Carl is doing it for himself?
I can't watch.
Like
Okay.
sisters.
Okay.
like the
I was
sisters.
just wondering if it's because I have some icks that it affects me personally, but I don't care if it's somebody else.
It doesn't bug. There's certain things that don't bug me like a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it depends on like how messy it is.
Yeah.
I also don't like my food to touch, and I
That's-
don't like it for other people's food to touch either.
Yeah.
But I
That's
just
fair.
The food touching, though, that's more common than you think. Now, the fact that you give a crap whether other people's food is touching
grosses
is.
me out.
But no, I think Amanda did a
You
good.
would hate how I eat Hungry Man's.
Ooh.
I cut up the chicken. I put the corn on top of the chicken and the potatoes, and I stir it all together, and I eat it like a goulash.
See, but
but
that's just like a KFC
bowl
magic.
thing?
Or
Yeah.
That's okay.
Oh, okay.
Because those things go
She
together.
loves-
It's very.
She loves the KFC
There's a lot
bowl,
of rules.
right? You love the KFC
do.
bowl. Yeah.
I totally understand the having lots of rules that just exist in your own head.
Yeah, where
I get
it's
it.
like, nope, those things don't.
I was kind of thinking about like the 3 levels of ick for me.
Sure.
Part of it is like the yuck factor, like ugh, yuck.
Yeah.
And then part of me is like the part that like you just want to vomit. Like it just makes you go, oh,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But then the third one for me is like sometimes you get that feeling just down your spine into your like butt, and you're just like, oh, like just
That's
something.
how I feel when people talk about butt trauma things,
Yeah.
where it's not even traumatizing to them,
Is it
but
just
it's like, oh,
that bundle
you
of nerves
clench.
down there, or just
Yeah.
like the
It's just because of all of the stuff I've experienced where I'm like, ooh,
yeah.
and then it just all comes rushing back.
Like sometimes I have that happen, like when I have like a deja vu moment,
Mhm.
and just feel like that immense like nerve rush sickness kind of thing.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
What else is on your list, Amanda? Do you have anything else?
Yeah, Amanda, give us a couple more from your list.
let me
You've got
check.
some good ones.
Let's go through your list, Amanda.
So I work as a counselor, and I work a lot with trauma and with folks with complex histories.
Mm-hmm.
So I get really angry when people are like, good vibes only,
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
because that's gross. Because
You have to
Fuck off.
you have to just process through all your emotions.
everybody gets
You
to
can't
feel
just
all the
pretend.
feels.
Yeah.
Like, no thank you. I don't really like doodle dogs.
Like the graduation puppy thing.
no.
No.
Like,
Like golden
Like-
doodles.
Like,
Oh, like
Golden.
the dogs, the actual dogs.
Yeah.
I was thinking about the dogs you write
Pretty
on.
much.
to
to put it this way, taking a perfectly good purebred dog and turning into a mutt with a poodle, but pretending it's some fancy hybrid dog when there's no such thing as a hybrid dog.
Oh my
I
God.
mean, I get like
We're getting so many calls.
The phone lines are lighting up.
Now, I personally like them, but there's actually some really bad genetic things that happen because of it, and people just ignore it because they like an animal that doesn't shed.
My groomer, she says she absolutely, out of all the animals that she's ever groomed, golden doodles, the worst.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, they're sweet dogs. Like, I love the dogs themselves, but I feel like as a practice, we need to scale it back. But that's my opinion. I'm adding to Amanda's ick. You fill us in.
I'm
on
like
this.
a Bob Barker, though. I feel like we need to, like, why are we breeding animals when they're already crazy
right.
Solid
doing it
point.
themselves?
like
solid
I
point,
get
too.
the purpose for certain people who need that,
Sure.
but everybody and their sister has
Right.
one.
Well,
and I'm like,
and
seriously, just get a fucking golden
The
retriever.
original purpose.
Carl and I want corgis someday.
Oh,
yeah.
no, corgis are good dogs. But
They're so
the original purpose of the doodle was a guy was training, what was it? Was it Labrador Retrievers?
Yeah, that was a lab.
As service dogs, and somebody wanted the service dog but was allergic to dogs, so he mixed it with a poodle so that it could be their service dog. And then everybody else is like, oh, and it doesn't shed. And he's like, that wasn't the point, guys.
Yeah. So I guess my ick is when people are like, oh, I want a dog, but I don't want it to shed. And it's like, well, it's a dog
Yeah.
deal.
No, that's fair.
Yeah, it's going to do a lot of other things you probably don't want it to do to either. And then
Right?
what?
Yeah.
Right.
It's going to go eat shit in the backyard.
No.
Good
You
luck.
know, when you're breeding them, you don't know necessarily that it'll take that trait.
Yeah.
So like I've
do you do
heard
with the
like
reject ones?
Bernedoodles.
Yeah.
Yeah, like doesn't necessarily mean that they'll take on the shedding factor or not.
Mhm. Yeah, but there's I can't list them all here, but I've looked it up. But there's a lot of genetic issues that come up too, and it's not fair to the dog.
No.
But am I gonna be like if to me if a doodle comes up to me, like am I icked out? Like I want to kick it away? No, I'm just icked
It's
at the practice.
concept.
Yes.
It's the concept of that. So the actual dogs are fine.
Yeah.
I just
And don't you actually have several of them in your family?
Yeah, we've got Copper.
Mayhaps.
Copper's a cutie. We do love Copper. You know, it's that conundrum where it's like we love the dog. It's just the practice I think needs to be scaled back because it should exist for people that are allergic, or something. I don't know.
You're talking yourself into a hole, my friend.
That's where I
I was just
live,
giggling. I
Lisa.
was just giggling because it was starting to sound like love the sinner, not the sin.
Yeah. No, I'm the type where I'll just talk myself in circles into a hole.
All right, so moving along from my dogs, because I do love dogs. I just, whatever. It's fine. No offense to anybody with a doodle, which is really shitty. That's also an ick for me, is when people say no offense and then proceed to say something really shitty. And it's like, well, obviously that's going to be offensive. Otherwise, you wouldn't preface it. So I
No,
apologize.
I think that's actually good of you to say that because I also
I hate it.
I wouldn't throw it in as ick, but
Oh,
I have that moment where I'm like, why do you even bother saying no offense if you want to offend me?
yeah. Like, don't. Sorry, that was icky. My other things. I don't like soggy bread. I hate it when my feet smell feety.
Yeah.
So they don't smell bad. They just
Smell like feet.
smell
I
like
want to,
feet.
if it's all right, I want to go back to the soggy bread because how do you feel on that, Courtney?
Should I feel a certain way?
Well, it's a Putnam thing because my dad can't stand soggy bread either.
And I'm
Depends
not
how it's
genetically a
soggy.
Putnam,
Okay.
just so we know.
Like if it's
Right. Amanda came out that all on her own. It's actually one of the things we're like, oh, you fit in the family. You're like, but my dad cannot eat any bread if it's soggy.
Well, like, are we talking like soggy? Like it's just kind of like
Well-
just from the oven and it's kind of moist,
No,
or is it like
it would
it
be
got
taken on
wet?
It would
Tuna
be
water,
soggy.
right.
Like let's say you had some like AFR turkey and they got the piece of bread underneath. My dad could not eat
No.
that bread.
See,
what
there's
is
a
AFR?
El Tuna,
Tuna family restaurant.
Oh,
But I think there's like a window because it's hard when it's toasted, and then they put like an open face sandwich.
Yeah.
and
I
then
don't
the,
like those.
the
But see,
gravy is what makes
cut,
it.
I cut mine all
Right.
apart
And
and,
I-
make a big
I-
goulash, and then if I have leftovers, you barely notice that it's bread. It's just more stuff.
I'm agreeing with you, Carl. I love it when it's like that, but my dad can't
So
eat it.
does your dad hate like if you make pork and dumplings?
Yeah.
He hates the dumplings
Well,
because it's basically wet bread.
yeah, I don't think he's a big fan of it.
well, it's just,
I
I,
love
like
those.
to like take like bread and like gravy it.
Yeah.
I just think
But if it's wet because it got like lettuce and tomato juices and
Oh,
it got
that's
soggy,
different.
Ooh, that is
That
different.
sounds delicious.
that's last time we were actually at the restaurant, she said, "Do you want tomatoes on it or not?" And that was a good point because like the tomatoes make the top piece of the toast.
Yeah.
So that is gross because it's
If
cold.
It's fresh, it's good. But
So-
if it's sat all day,
When
I don't
Ross
like it.
Geller is talking about his leftover sandwich and he says that there's the gravy-soaked piece of bread in the middle called the moist maker, I was like, does that make Amanda
Yeah.
gag?
Yeah, my dad would not be able
Watching
to take
that episode, she's always like, "Whoa."
And Amanda wouldn't be able to take. So,
That's disgusting.
That is gross.
but being that my dad didn't like it, it prepared me for Amanda because now they're the same way. Although I will say this, Amanda's grossed out by bread pudding, but my dad at least likes bread pudding.
I don't
Yeah.
have to like
The
it.
concept of bread pudding kind of is, but it's funny because I had like a baked oatmeal at a fancy hipster restaurant in Milwaukee,
Ooh.
and someone said this is kind of like bread pudding, and I was like, oh, well, maybe bread pudding's awesome because the oatmeal was really
I
freaking
made some
good.
phenomenal bread pudding out of apple cider donuts
Yeah.
at Applefest.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah. I made it was like shortly after that because it was the same apples from Applefest, but I made an apple bread pudding out of Swiss bread and it turned out great. Oh,
Could you make something out of Swiss cake rolls?
sure.
I love Swiss cake rolls.
We've actually made like a real Swiss roll. Like we've done it. It's pretty good.
We
okay.
we just fist
I'm
bumped over
stepping
the
on
Swiss
some
cake
icks.
rolls.
I just wanted to dump
We are
it.
getting way off track.
Okay. Well,
Sake bread.
continuing on along, I dislike lemon lime Gatorade. That makes me almost puke, but that is because that was like the flavoring of my first colonoscopy prep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's gross. And then kind of in that same vein, I don't like thong underwear.
Okay.
How
How do you feel about thong sandals?
I didn't start to be able to wear those until I was in college
Okay.
because I hated how it felt in
The
between my
sandal or
toes.
the okay.
Okay.
Thong underwear grossed me out.
What about the thong song? Is Cisco offend you?
No, that's
Okay,
fine.
cool.
And then also, it really grosses me out that people poop out of their butthole.
You know what? Honestly, I don't like the fact that I have to poop out of my butthole, and I'll get into that if we get to my list.
Oh, that's wonderful. You too. I love both of
There
you.
are reasons Amanda didn't just wake up one day and go, man, buttholes are weird.
No, if I had that much butthole trauma, I'd resent it too. But
It really grosses me out when I'm in the public bathroom and someone's pooping next to me. I'm like, oh my God, you're so disgusting.
How do you think I feel having to poop?
I'm so sorry.
Like, I know it's
just
not
awful.
fun for you, but I honestly would rather have an ostomy bag.
really,
Yeah.
That's interesting
It's not
because
bad.
ostomy poop is,
it's
Very,
potent.
very-
It's very
yeah.
potent. It's got a certain smell.
and no shame or disrespect to anybody that has it by any means,
Which is
but
me.
they're definitely two different kinds of
Oh,
poop.
for sure. And now that's why, like, normal poop is, like, so disgusting to me.
I feel like it has a milder flavor.
Well,
Do you know what really?
it does.
Do you know what poop is really bad? I found this out at one of my previous jobs, which was
C. diff.
yes.
Yeah.
It's like so. One of our patients
Sour.
had like she pooped herself, and we had to clean it up. And luckily, I basically just had to hold the towel so that she would be on her side, so that the other person who had nursing experience could. And we're all wearing masks and stuff, so it wasn't like it wasn't grossing me out in the sense of like it's gonna get on me, it's gonna get in my mouth, the way you think. But it was like just you'd get a whiff and it'd be like, huh. And I'd be like, just think about outside. Think about birds. Think about the rain. Think about because it was so sour and it just smelled like rotting food. It was the weirdest, like, and it was green. It was, and I mean like bright green,
Mine can do that.
Yeah, especially after Lucky Charms.
like the color of
And
broccoli.
blue Gatorade.
It was like,
Well, and different medications can do.
Oh, yeah. I used to have a medication that made my urine, like, fluorescent yellow.
Yeah.
It was a little unsettling, but it was kind of neat.
Actually, if I have way too much caffeine, my urine is very, very yellow. I don't know what it is about it, but
Yeah.
if I have too much urine, my caffeine is very yellow.
So that's like basically the gist of my icks is
Oh,
a lot of
that's a
butthole
good-
trauma
And pickles.
and pickles.
Yeah, I
Oh,
was
yeah.
gonna say, how
we've
is
brought that up
pickles?
so many times. But yeah, let's throw it out there again.
We can't
Pickles.
neglect it from
No,
the list.
no,
Just-
No.
No, Gary
No.
bought pickles this
Pickles,
week.
sauerkraut.
Olives.
Okay, but you gotta.
It's
No,
you can have it.
No.
I
No. The pickles I feel bad about, but the olives.
I know you like them.
But you're not as grossed out about the
No,
olives
I'm
as
not.
the
I just
pickles.
don't like how they
Did you know
smell.
that Gary
I also
has a stash at my house right now?
I do.
I also hate this way guacamole smells.
Really?
Ew. Can't handle it. It's yucky.
I love guacamole.
So I got a lot of food issues and a lot of digestive things. That's my ick.
Yeah. So if somebody had a soggy sandwich with pickles and guacamole, you
Are you trying to make her vomit? Because I can't deal with that. I'm telling you right now.
I don't want to go to that restaurant.
My apologies, guys. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I took it too far. My apologies.
Courtney.
Courtney, I would love
Fill
to
us
hear
in.
what makes you tick about your ick.
Well, let's just start with music.
Okay.
Gary was at my house a few weeks ago, and he caught first glance of what happens if my husband's watching the show Monk.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that stupid Randy Newman intro. I literally like, Lyle, turn it. Or like go past the intro because it's that, but I don't think so. It's
so like any like Pixar song
anything Randy Newman
gets you. I can see that. Like I'm okay with it, but I can totally see how it would.
I'm gonna have to listen.
Any
to it later.
Randy Newman fans, or do you guys agree? Or
I wouldn't say I'm a fan. I don't really think about it.
okay.
I don't have anything.
I wouldn't.
against him.
I wouldn't buy anything of his.
I think
I don't think
music can catch anyone though. Like
Yeah.
certain things. I think about
There's stuff that I will hate because I hear it a lot, and then if I don't hear it for like 2 years, when it's on, it's like this actually isn't that bad of a song.
Yeah,
The song "She Blinded Me with Science."
I love that song. It gets you.
It used to play. It was like in a Kohl's
Oh,
advertisement when I
yeah,
worked there, and it was playing
I
all the
remember
time.
that.
And then there was that Toby Keith song, "Proud to Be an American" or something.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Shit.
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
think it was
That
on
was-
at Sears all the
It's
time.
courtesy of the red, white, and blue.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't really love Toby Keith anyway. I mean,
I'm
rest
not-
in peace.
But yes, anyone that's worked retail.
Yeah, there's just certain songs.
Or food.
Or food. But yeah, like, because, yeah, back in the Sears days, after 9/11, like, it was a lot of patriotic stuff, including marching band music.
yeah.
That was not.
I actually do love a good marching band.
I do too.
Like seriously, it's like kind of like
I do too.
what
It's-
was
can be
that older
jaunty.
band? Oh my gosh. Oh, Fleetwood Mac, and they had kind of like that
Yeah.
marching band.
Don't stop.
kinda-
And they had the marching band come out for was it
loved it.
well during like the chain, the big like fancy
Well, that was
the dance. The dance. That was the name of the
But
concert.
because the USC marching band does it for Tusk.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'll have to play it for you later, but there was an Outkast song that had a marching band in it, and I love that song.
I love Outcast.
I remember the first couple years I was in college, I was one of the only ones that had a car. So, like, a lot of times if I was heading back to Southeast Wisconsin, like, we'd fill up the car. So you've got everyone having, like, different music. But at some point, it's late at night. So I'm going to listen to what I'm going to listen to. And so sometimes it'd be country, sometimes it'd be pop. And sometimes, like, the dance beat would, like, get to people. And then one time, I don't remember, was it that said, who's playing the circus music?
No, the circus music was when we were listening to Tammy Faye Baker's "God's Not Dead."
Oh.
Remember she called you down in your room and she goes, "Turn off the circus music."
So you got two stories combined. But the fact was, the dance beat got to someone in the car.
Okay. Was there more to the
I
ick,
have a
though,
couple.
or-
I have.
Well, I know you
got a
got more
whole-
icks, but was
No,
there more
she's-
to
Oh,
the
there's more music.
I have more music.
I was going to
That's
say,
great.
I know if you forgot, I was going to remind you. Go ahead.
Any Ozzy Osbourne, his voice, it's like it's whiny.
Yeah.
Oh,
I get that. Not about him specifically, but we were watching American Idol last night, and this person that Carl's mom is like, "Oh, I called and voted for her. She's great." Blah blah. I said, "Oh my God, she's doing this thing." And she's like the front runner, and I'm like, "How?
Yeah.
Maybe I don't have the taste. I don't know."
Yeah.
Roy Orbison. I see his picture and it's just like, oh, like it just sends that.
Roy.
I actually like Roy Orbison.
You want to hear a really funny Roy Orbison story? It's very quick.
Sure.
My aunt, I was growing up, she loved Pretty Woman. She loved Roy Orbison. She's like, "Oh, Roy Orbison, blah, blah, blah." One time we were like doing a puzzle and my cousin was like, "Oh, put on Pandora." It was like when Pandora was new. So he was like, "Oh, we'll do Roy Orbison." And like every song that came on, she's like, "Oh, you can skip this one. Oh, you can skip this one." And after about
Only
15
good one.
songs, she's like, "Maybe I don't like Roy Orbison."
Okay, to be fair, he was not a looker.
No, and I think
but
maybe
his
that's-
voice was very like
His voice
sultry.
was-
Yeah.
yes.
Well, he's got to have something.
And I'll tell you, Pretty Woman's one of those. It was, like his signature song, but the other ones are so good.
Yes, they are.
You know,
Cyndi Lauper has a song called "I Drove All Night," and I loved it.
love
that
And
song.
Celine Dion did it, and it was like, "Oh, I love her version too. Not as much, but I love it." And then I found out Roy Orbison did a version because
Oh, really?
he actually wrote it, but his version came out after Cindy's. But it's like,
Oh.
and he died like right in that, like the early to mid 90s.
So if you're like me and you just like having multiple versions of the same song, you're like, there's 3 I can listen to. I love this.
That's really
He died
cool.
in 1988.
Yeah.
He died that young? I didn't know.
Oh yeah, he was just having a comeback like Renaissance. He just performed on SNL, and
Didn't he do a song with Katie Lang?
I think so.
I believe so.
Yeah.
My even though it's not like song related, like because it just tickled adolescent Gary, like the scene in Waterboy when Henry Winkler drops his pants and he's got a tattoo of Roy Orbison on his ass. That's just hilarious to me.
I think he's one. Yeah, you should definitely venture into just some of his other songs. There's one I like that is called. I think it's the Bellhop. It's just a cute song.
I think it's just the way the look.
The lilt?
I don't know.
I understand.
Yeah.
Wasn't he in your Traveling Thornberry group?
The Traveling Wilburys, I love them.
Yeah.
Gary doesn't.
no,
The Traveling Thornberries. That's the Nickelodeon version.
I was going to say.
the next one was it Tiny Tim Tiptoe?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Step
yeah.
off, girlfriend.
Yep, yep,
You
yep.
step the fuck off.
Yeah.
I love Tiny Tim, but I totally get it. It's a very specific, but he did so many songs that were like from like the late 1800s and
What's
the
Tiny Tim?
Like, he's the singer that sang.
Tiptoe through the
She won't remember that.
Oh, I've heard that.
Oh, you have? Oh, I'm not trying to insult
like
you.
I have that album like and he like there's a song called Ever Since You Told Me That You Love Me I'm a Nut, and I found out that's actually a song from like the 20s as well, but it's like it's so good.
No,
But he does have a very unique, but what's great about him is he doesn't just sing that way. Like he did
I was gonna say, are all of his songs in that voice?
No.
mostly, but not all. And he did like on that album he does I Got You Babe, but he sings both parts. And he does in the 70s he did a cover of If You Want My Body on the Tonight Show. Oh my god, it's so good. And he's wearing this like suit that's made out of like fabric that's old, like golden age comic book covers. Ooh. And at some point he starts to just strip, and it's hilarious because it's after Tiny Tim got fat. So it's like, oh my God, it's even better. And then after he's done performing, he always would carry something weird on stage. He has like a paper sack. He just picks it up and like walks away and is blowing kisses. And Johnny Carson's like, there's just nothing to say after that.
I think you have to like enjoy that from like the absurd lens.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
like,
so maybe that's the ick factor right there. Cause like,
because like his teeth kind of scare me.
Yeah.
Like growing up, I was always
And
like,
he
he
has
has
like
weird
these really
mouth.
like eyes and eyebrows.
They were
that-
shifty.
But you know what's funny? I feel like what we know now about like the spectrum and neurodivergent people, I hesitate to tell people like, oh, diagnose people who've been dead for 30 years. But it's like, I wonder sometimes because he has little tics and it's like, oh, I wonder what was.
The next one is Neil Young.
Oh, sure.
His voice, and particularly his sideburns. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like,
I love you.
just thick as fuck.
Yeah, he should have just gone full on mutton chops, right? Would that have made you
it
happier?
is funny that there's certain things from like dominant that were dominant in the 70s just didn't drift away.
But I get that though, because some people like act like 70s, like, oh, this band's from the 70s, so they're automatically great. And I'm sometimes like, I'm not amused.
Yeah. I do like some of his songs, but I can see how somebody could be annoyed by him. Yeah.
I'm not going to make friends at this table by saying this.
No.
It's
And
okay.
just know that I love all of you. And I
And I'm scared.
love your pets. But I'm not a cat person because I find their buttholes very intimidating.
But you don't fucking Randy.
It's okay.
They don't cover it. It's
No,
just, it's always right.
You can buy the little thing that hangs on the tail and then it's a little jewel over their
My
buttholes.
theory is
That's
it's
way
like-
worse, but they exist.
I think because like cats are always going where they maybe shouldn't. So like the arm of your chair, the headrest of your chair, and everything where they sit is just a butthole.
Courtney,
Yeah.
Courtney, they sit on your arm, and there's a worm butthole on your arm.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. Like if you took like a black
I
light,
rarely, if ever, get touched by the butthole. I don't know
it'd
what
be
y'all
like
are talking
a
about.
bingo dauber, just
Oh, yeah.
leaving polka dots.
Do you get butthole touched?
I don't get butthole touched.
No, because they usually curl up and flip their tail down.
But
Yeah.
but if they clean themselves pretty well, and if
Yeah.
they can't, if they're in a multi-cat household,
The other cats
the
usually,
other cats usually do it for them.
And I'm surprised nobody asked what's the difference between a cat butthole and a dog butthole, because really, I mean, buttholes are buttholes. But
I don't like like
Dog's
any
got
of
a
them.
little more fur tufts around it, you know? And
It hides a little bit more.
Yeah,
Maybe.
Buggles'
Cats
tail is
kind
very
of strut it with
luxurious.
pride sometimes.
yeah.
They'll wave it right around right
But-
in front of your.
but-
That's one of the reasons I love cats.
Courtney, you've got cats. You've got
It is kind of like
You
a
got
weird
Randy
FU.
and-
Like,
It is. It's okay. I totally get it, Courtney. So it's cool.
And like so many people, and I realize I've had cats that have done this too. So it's not like it's the owner's fault, but sometimes cats jump up on countertops and you don't know it because you're not always there. And then that butthole
Oh yeah.
Right there.
Yep. I get
right
that.
on your toaster or your, I don't know where.
That's why I have Clorox wipes.
Very true.
Just about every room in my house.
Oh,
That's a
that's
very
good.
good point.
Yeah.
My next segment.
Wait, you're done with music?
Yeah. well,
No.
Do you think cat buttholes have anything
Well-
to do with music?
Anything with a synthesizer
Yeah, and
She-
robotic.
or robotic voices, and it. So I remember when we talked about Taco and the putting on the Ritz, but there's been other times where it just something
Beastie
just
Boys?
got yeah. We
that
were,
love
one, I'm
the
like, Gary,
Beastie
you
we
gotta
were listening
turn
to
it.
Beastie Boys, and she's like, turn it.
Intergalactic?
Yeah.
Oh, that's such a good song.
Oh no, not that.
See?
Robotic. Weird.
Oh,
No.
so good.
Nope.
Any synth or robotic thing in a music, she can't take it. Like, because I knew about Taco, but I didn't realize how bad it was when I was listening to Beastie Boys, and you're like, turn it.
Yeah, like it.
Yep. And it's okay.
like it's not something I'd always want in music, but it's something I enjoy.
But you know what, though? I'm going to say your icks about music are like, not to be like, I'm the authority, but when I talk to some people about what they don't like about music, a lot of times it's this weird, in my mind, high school boy attitude of like, it's not cool to like that, so I don't like that. Whereas yours are like legit,
sure.
ooh, the sound bothers my
Yeah,
ears.
it
And it's
is.
like, yes,
It's a
that's
sound. It's
that's
a
how I
pitch. It's-
try to be too. It's like, ooh, I don't like how that hits my ear. I don't like this person's voice. It's not like,
Exactly.
I will say this, it's an unpopular opinion, but that one gal from that did the voice in the movie Frozen, I can't stand her voice.
Adina.
Yes.
Menza.
Oh, it's like
Adele
fingernails.
Dazeem.
It's a fingernails on a chalkboard.
I don't
to
know
me.
whatever the hell it is.
I don't know
that's
what
what
it is
John
about her
Travolta called
voice
her.
because
What is
she's
it?
like a Tony Award-winning singer. People love it, but
Patty LuPone.
and I'm not saying she's a bad
She's
singer.
like-
I know she's on pitch. I know she's got
All-
a pitch perfect voice, but the sound of it, just the way
No.
it resonates for me. Bleh.
I get it because the lady who played Evita first, and she was the mom on Life Goes On, and she's a complete cunt. But she is like, all the gay people love her because she's a bitch and she's funny and blah blah. And I'm like, and she sings like this and it's really shitty. And they're like, oh, Tony. And it's like, oh my god, she's garbage.
I didn't know
Oh, she's
because I
terrible.
loved the show.
Well, I say she's a cunt because she said on Watch What Happens Live that she hates ABBA and she wishes they were dead.
Oh.
And I was like, well, you're a piece of shit because they've done nothing to you.
Yeah.
Maybe their sound hurts her ears.
She should still not want them dead.
Maybe she's
I don't
too
want
dumb
her
for
dead.
Mamma
Her
Mia.
voice bothers me.
Gary said nails on chalkboard. My equivalent of nails on chalkboard is ice, like skates on ice. That
Oh.
I love that sound.
that is horrible.
I personally love the sound too, but I can see you used to live on a lake and we would go ice skating at your house.
Yeah,
And she
And you
would
just
quiver
hated
the
it
whole
entire
time.
huh?
would quiver like Lily and licking her butthole.
Yeah.
She was actually too cold to.
Chin quivers.
My next segment is related to fingernails / toenails.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
I hate this new ASMR thing where people have these long fingernails and they've got to
click
tap
it.
Oh, sure.
and like clickety click.
I get, and this is the thing with me, because I get the concept of ASMR and I see how some of those things would be satisfying, but a lot of what people do is like, that doesn't satisfy me at all. It gives me anxiety. Stop it.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't like it when you listen to something on headphones and like it'll only play in one ear and then it'll go to the next one.
well,
Yeah.
It depends on what it is, because some things, if it's like, if I'm listening to a song and that's like the effect of like something,
that's what
I
it-
like that. It's
I
like, ooh.
don't like. I hate it. Bugs
because there's
me.
a ton of that in Bohemian Rhapsody. Are you okay with it in that song?
I am okay, like as long as it's not on headphones.
Okay.
Because when
Gotcha.
it's like
Sure.
on my ears, like it's really
Do you find it disorienting?
it does. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Like,
can see.
I
Okay, I
can't-
can see
yep.
that.
So like for EMDR,
But I'm glad you
therapy,
love Queen.
I do. EMDR therapy, like they have multiple ways to do like to engage both sides of your brain, and one of them is audio. And oh god, like I would go through the fucking roof if I
Ryan,
had to do that.
do you remember though, like back in the day when we had the DVD players and we could only hook up one sound channel because the TV was old. And then we watched UHF Spatula City. And then it was supposed to say Spatula City again.
But it didn't. It was just like Spatula City.
Back to nails. Anybody that gets manicures and pedicures, but they don't match.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
There should
Courtney.
be some sort of identifying theme or something.
Oh, sorry, Courtney. I just like to get fun stuff.
But I think your whimsy does pull together in a certain whimsical way.
I mean, I haven't done that in a long, long time anyway.
Fair,
so I
fair,
don't
fair.
know.
And if you've worn your fingernail polish so long that it's no longer covering your entire nail, commit it or get rid of it. Like there's no in
when it
between.
grows out.
Yeah.
Dirty fingernails that are longer than they should be.
I got both right now, baby.
Especially if you work in food service. If
Oh,
you have
that's different.
long
Yeah.
fingernails.
Oh, yeah.
One
Yeah.
time I went through it was in the middle of COVID. I went through the drive-through of KFC and this girl had like those big spiky
Stilettos?
acrylic. Is that what they call them?
Are they?
Yeah.
Were they pointy?
Yeah.
So like stiletto nails.
They weren't like the Frito kind. The ones that are flat on top, I think look like Fritos, and I always am like, why do you have Fritos on your fingernails?
Well, she took a pair of rubber gloves and she snipped off the ends of them, so
Ooh,
her
the
fingernails
nails were sticking out.
What's the point?
gross.
That's where most of the bacteria lives.
I'm like, you got to be shitting me.
Oh,
Yeah. I'm like, no, not today.
no, that would gross me out too.
My mom, when she would hear like songs that she liked on the radio, she'd go deet deet deedle deedle deet 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 deet. Like she'd sing to that song by doing deet deets and diddle diddles.
Funny story. Not really, but I have
Kind of do that.
when they like
I don't
when
mind.
they release special editions of certain artists' albums, sometimes they include things like, oh, an old demo. So you know the real song and you're listening to this demo, and like at the point of the demo, it's on a Kiss album. They must not have written all the lyrics yet because there's parts where he's like da 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 da. It's like there are no words there. I know what they should be, but this is just him going da 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 da. Like they know how the music goes. They just haven't
See,
written the lyrics.
And when
yet.
I do that, I kind of feel like I'm scatting. I'm like dip da boo doo dee da. But no.
Courtney's
no.
just
or like on
I
Doug.
like it.
Which brings me to my next one. People that play air guitar. The first date that I had with my husband, he did that shit to the radio, and I'm like,
Oh my god.
no, that just irritates the shit out of me.
Don't drive with me when I'm listening to a guitar solo then, because
Oh, really?
I kind of like I play it on my steering wheel, kind of, sort of.
Oh. Yeah.
Patchouli.
I love you, Courtney.
What about drums on the dashboard?
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Just not guitars.
Just not
Just
guitars.
not air guitars.
What about a trombone, an air trombone? Because I do that
Well, I
sometimes.
feel like that's just fancy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I played the trombone.
Yeah.
I don't expect me to like pick one up, but
But you did at Devon's.
There's certain words, two of them being panties and scrumptious. Those two
What about
words,
scrumptious panties?
especially not those two put close together. Never. Like when you're in a bathroom and there's a towel that everybody's drying their hands on.
Oh yeah.
I don't want to feel another person's moisture.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
a similar vein, when you sit in a chair
Yes,
and
that
it's
was-
warm
That's
and it was not your warmth.
butt sweat / warmth.
Yes. 100%.
Right after Neil Young and his sideburns.
Yes.
Maybe
But
reveals
'cause you
something
know it
disgusting about
came-
me, but I like the butt.
I did when I was little.
Okay.
And now I'm like, ooh,
I know,
Yeah.
because
that was someone else's butt.
Okay, I guess I like it when it's like if I'm at our house and it was like Ruggles that was laying there.
Yes.
Okay,
But
that's different.
Like
then.
if you go into a waiting room or something and you
Yep,
sit
I'm
in the
with you
chair
now.
and it's
That
like,
is
Yeah,
gross.
'cause
Yep.
it-
Like a complete stranger
yeah,
situation.
like I don't know who
and
sat there.
sometimes, yeah.
I wasn't my warmth, but one time I got sunburned. I'd actually probably tell this when we do our vacations next week. But
Yeah.
I got sunburned really bad. And when I was on the plane back, I got sunburned on one side. So like the one arm was like, so I was in that row by myself. So I was like, cool, I can sit wherever I want. But at some point I looked over and I'm like, all this like crusty, peely skin was all over the seat. I'm like, I'm so sorry, whoever has to sit here next. I dusted myself in front of everybody.
I think I have a similar story to that when we do the vacation thing too. Love it.
All right.
It involves my mother. But then I just want to share that I think a lot of my icks stem from my father. That I think it's an OCD thing.
Sure.
Because I just wanted to review some of my dad's hilarious icks that I find great joy of fucking with him about. He cannot, like his driveway, he has to get out there the minute there's snow on there, because if anybody drives over the snow in the driveway and then it leaves like a track.
The ice track. Yeah, you have to get rid of that.
Pisses You need to meet Don Putnam. Snurds.
He's actually a fan of
What's
you,
a
Carl.
snurd?
A snurd is the little clumps of snow that stick to the bottom of your car
Oh.
and fall off. That's a snurd.
Is that a name? Like that?
That's his name.
There's
I don't.
There's a thing that I'd teach Mr. Carl about when we started
Well, and
dating.
people in general.
That it's good to kick them off, but you don't do it in your own driveway. You do it in a parking lot.
This man
I agree.
also has to go up and down the neighborhood, and he lives like in this big long like loop. But he goes and evens out the snowbanks for all the neighbors
That's interesting.
because he cannot stand if they're like, I don't know, like
Oh
they're
my
not all
gosh.
tapered the same.
Wow.
You didn't know that?
I didn't know that.
I knew that.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
All the light switches have to be in the same direction, which really fucks with him
Yeah,
because
yeah.
upstairs and downstairs there's like a panel of 6 light switches.
Yep.
So he'll go up and down and up and down and up and down until all of them are in the same direction.
I kind of get that because our kitchen has 2 different switches, and the one by the back door I don't care about because we don't really use it. But if that's how the light gets affected, I have to switch it because the one in the hallway needs to be like up when it's on and down when it's off because it gets flipped otherwise, and it just bugs me. It's like,
No,
I will go over to the other light switch and go floop, floop. There, that's better.
Completely agree with you. I have one like that too.
My dad hates flamingos because it's not fucking Florida.
How the hell is he married to your
I
mom?
don't know. He's like, you have no business getting a pink flamingo in your yard in Wisconsin.
I love flamingos.
But your mom loved flamingos.
No, she just loved him just to piss him off.
Even
So
better.
she would like wear flamingo
Just
shirts
to
all
piss
the
him
time.
off.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, that's amazing.
Right? I just
Does
love
he like
flamingos.
fruit?
Does he like fruit?
Yeah.
Like that's a Florida
Yeah.
thing.
Like fruit comes from not here.
Right?
I mean,
Very true.
He's like apples and pears only and cherries.
Yeah.
Are there other animals that he is
just-
irritated with because
No,
they're not
not
native
really.
to Wisconsin? Just the flamingo.
Just
He
the
thinks
flamingo.
it's tacky when people have them in their yard. in
Well, that's the
Wisconsin.
point. I feel like that's
fair.
the point
Yeah.
of it, though.
That was
Yeah.
because
Oh
it's
my
like
God.
kitschy.
Can we get him like a flamingo
he likes
wicker
order.
set?
Yeah, you're
Can
right.
we get him a copy of the movie Pink Flamingos with Divine?
Oh,
Can we
he'd
have
probably
flamingos
love
for our
it.
yard?
Yeah, we can have flamingos in our yard.
Just don't invite Don Button.
Oh, I will.
We'll bring them down when he comes over.
Will
And
we?
Yes, we don't offend Don.
he feeds off of my and Wicker Biscuit fans. Please close your ears because I cannot stand Wicker. I hate Wicker,
He loves it.
and he loves it. I get Wicker all the time
See,
from the man.
And I think that's a little bit of why we chose Wicker Biscuit, because it's just like the flamingos. It's just fun to fuck with you a little bit.
In one of his houses, he has nothing but wicker furniture.
What if we got him a wicker flamingo?
He does have a recliner that's not wicker.
It is weird that like
That's true.
He'd be
But not
so
until recently.
furniture that would be so commonplace to an area that would have flamingos.
But yeah,
Maybe he
He's a
doesn't
flamingo.
want anyone to make the connection.
I think he
Maybe.
desperately wants flamingos, just only in Florida.
Yeah.
So one day I did screw with him equally, and I took one piece of his wicker furniture, his chair, and I crawled up. Actually, I had my son crawl up his roof, and we put the wicker chair on top of the roof. I know Gary's seen the picture.
Oh, absolutely.
And my dad, to not outdo me, was wondering, first of all, where the hell his chair went. And then I'm like pointing to the top of his roof because it's sitting there on the peak. That son of a bitch crawls up the roof and he sits there and he proceeds to wave to traffic for the whole afternoon. Just because he knows I don't like wicker.
He's a good man.
He is. And I just have one last one, and it's break room etiquette.
Sure. Yeah,
Don't be
I'm
that
gonna agree.
motherfucker in a full break room that sits on their phone and talks loudly to their husband or something like they haven't.
Or
seen
in a
them in 3
restaurant.
years.
You
Or
know,
in the bathroom.
Oh,
or
that
leave
irritates
really
me.
old, gross stuff in the fridge in a break room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love to watch people in healthcare just like waltz into the break room at work and they don't fucking wash their hands.
Oh,
Oh my
and they'll
gosh.
just dive in and eat their sandwich. It's like, honey.
Even
C.
and the
diff.
people don't get like you have gloves on. Yeah, but that's like an
Every
extra layer of
doorknob,
protection. It's not like, oh, no, I don't have to worry.
That's my shared one with you, Courtney. Like I cannot stand it because I know what men's junk, like, come on. You've been sweating all day, and then you're going to take that out. There's bacteria everywhere. Whatever else is going on.
He says this, but like every man, he'll itch his balls and snip his fingers.
That's true. Very true.
Okay. But like I'll do that in the bathroom, but then I wash my hands after it.
Well, and that's the thing. So I play this game, like sometimes I just joke like, he didn't wash his hands. He didn't wash his hands.
No, when you see
Start pointing them, it's
people,
so
we always
funny.
joke about like it'd be fun to follow them out and just yell and point to everyone that they,
He didn't wash his hands.
especially if they work at the place.
Oh,
I just think it's so funny to think about the very beginning of COVID because I was actually at the men's state bowling tournament that last weekend of the tournament that they were actually hosting. And everyone was like in the men's bathroom. That's the only time I've ever seen the men's bathroom like garbage can overflowing.
yeah.
Because everyone was washing their hands.
I felt like when COVID happened and people were washing their hands more, any of us who ever worked in food service and were like good employees were like, I always wash my hands that much.
Yeah.
It's like,
It
oh, I
shouldn't
do
be
this all
any
the time.
different.
And people were like, guys were all sharing like the songs they were singing in their head, like when they were washing their hands. So it was really cool because like
And they were
people
all Roy Orbison and Neil Young.
there's a lot of 80s rock.
There was a lot of synthesizers. Like they brought like their own like little like on a keychain.
Little Ozzy. Crazy train. But it's true. It really bothers me. That one really just gets me.
Yeah.
And then you just start thinking about like the door handles and the stuff that's touched in the bathroom. And it's just like a...
That's
like
why whenever I'm in public and I wash my hands, after I wash my hands, I like literally put my hand under my t-shirt.
Yeah.
And then use my t-shirt to open the door.
I appreciate when places have that little
foot thing.
Yeah.
but I find it hard to use without like almost smacking myself in the face with it. So it's like,
Do you guys want to hear the grossest restaurant story I've ever had?
yes.
There was one time
Don't say it was Wendy's. I was just there before I came here.
Well, actually, I'll share something later.
Gary and I
but-
killed a wood tick at a Wendy's with a French fry and then threw him in the urinal and I peed on him. We both peed on him, actually.
We peed on him.
And then you washed your hands.
No, it was actually, it wasn't in Eau Claire, but it was. I got my drive-through order and I opened it up and it was just a bunch of breadsticks. Now, mind you, it was dark in the car because it was during the winter. So like past 5 o'clock, it was dark. So I like go through and I'm like, oh, that's not what I ordered. What the hell? So then I drove around, I parked, I come back in. I'm like, this isn't what I ordered. And then he's like, oh, that's where it went. That's the guys at the windows. So he grabs it from me and then gives it to the guy out the window.
No.
no.
And I'm like, dude, I touched that. That's disgusting. I wanted to puke. I'm like, I don't even want your food anymore. Give me my money back.
Right.
But anyway,
that's
I felt
tough.
so bad for that because that person in the car had no idea.
Right.
And it was just,
Well, there's the touch screens at a lot of the fast food places
that's
now.
true. Yeah.
It's kind of weird. The one I feel most comfortable with is the Taco Bell one, but it's only because they've got hand sanitizer on the pump.
And because
So-
Miss Wanda don't put up with no dirty
love
fingers.
Wanda.
So-
Which one is she at now? Because I got to go
West
there
Side.
and see her. Okay.
Yeah.
She intimidates
Really?
What?
because she's just very,
Hey, baby.
yeah,
What do you want?
yep. And he's just not used to that.
I love her
I can see
so
that, though.
much.
I can.
Your total is $20 and whatever. Pull around.
Do you remember when we went to Wendy's with Seth when she was little
snaps me
and
every
that one
morning.
lady took our order and she was just this big jolly black lady and Seth was so happy like because she was like, oh hey baby. He's like,
Yeah,
"Oh, I know this lady.
I do remember that. That was nice. So, Carl, are we at you right now, or
I guess.
Courtney? Do you have any?
Oh,
more?
I did enough.
Okay,
That
well,
bathroom
thank
was
you.
kind of a good bridge for us.
Yeah, it was a very good bridge.
I don't know. It's funny because I'm all over the board with mine, I guess.
That's good. Those are the fun ones.
Like, I really thought of some like academic kind of ones, but then I was really, as we were going on tonight, I was like, oh no.
Fill me in on what an academic ick is.
Well, like,
No, like you thought of like actual icks that he has that are actual phobias.
Okay, God, I'm with you now. I'm with you. I'm sorry. That
I
made
thought it was
sense.
something that he
It took
didn't
me a
like,
bit to process.
Group projects at school or
Oh, no,
something.
That is definitely an ick.
but like, you know, culture and concepts and all that kind of stuff.
Okay, got it.
But first, we're going to go into just the food ones, because those will be quick and fast. But like bar food, like not like the behind the counter bar food, like pickled eggs and
Yeah.
like the turkey necks.
Yep.
Yeah.
The gizzards.
Like
Yeah, I'm with you there.
that's disgusting.
Well, most of them are
Not
just
like a
pretty much
nice
dare,
bag of
aren't they?
potato chips.
Usually they are the dare. Like,
Yeah.
but I'd rather just have the shake of the day than roll the dice with all that food. Like, that's disgusting.
Yeah.
And they're all like in together.
like
It's
in a
not like they're
big
individually
jar.
wrapped. Or,
Yeah.
Ew. My grandma had the.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, I thought
Yeah, when we're at what's it called, and they give like they have like the beef jerky in the little canister. They like hold it out, so like
Yeah,
here,
so
grab
you
the one you're
grab
gonna
one.
eat.
Okay, I did love that when I was little.
But like that makes sense
I
because
was,
that's not like
like,
you're not touching
little,
it, someone else. But it's
and
like
I didn't
go pick one.
Yeah, in that scenario, in theory, if it was put in the jar correctly, no one else has touched it.
Right.
So yeah.
It was good beef jerky.
When people just salt everything, like watermelon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, my grandma does that.
Yeah, it just
That's good shit. That's why Courtney has hypertension.
like I don't add salt to pretty much anything.
My mom salts everything. My mom puts salt on a salad.
I don't do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Everything.
And
That's
you
weird
know,
because that in health class they're always like people who smoke salt everything, and so whenever people salt a lot of things, I used to
Well,
think, I wonder if they smoke.
she grew up in a smoker's house. So yeah, yeah, that could be a little bit of that. And I'm not really trying to shame her. You know, it is what it is. But she's the only person I know that's ever put salt that I've ever seen salt a salad.
I have not done that.
Yeah. Okay.
You're going to try it though now, aren't you?
No, but I do like salty things on it, like sunflower seeds or.
Sunflower seeds
that's-
on salad. Okay, you get a salad and you put some cottage cheese and then some sunflower seeds and then ranch and French. And I'm happy.
I don't like dressing.
That's why you're always naked.
Some intermingling.
It's fun in my house.
We've talked about my illness when my dad was watching me one time, like the cream soda and shortbread cookies. I don't think I like cream soda that much.
Oh.
I think it's still kind of gross.
Even the cream soda sucker is like not my favorite.
Oh, I love that.
No, there was such a.
yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
the dum
The Dum
dums.
Dums.
Shortbread I'm actually okay with, probably.
Well, yeah, because we've discovered
Yeah.
the wonder of Lorna Doones.
The Lorna
Oh,
Doones.
Lorna Doones, she's a good bitch.
Those are great with chocolate milk.
I hate any sort of puking.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like most of the times I want to picture in my mind that I'm laughing at it because like sometimes people just puking's funny, but like when someone's just like there and all of a sudden it sneaks up on them and it's like like to me that's funny, but the act of it actually is disgusting to me. And so, but yes.
Or in the movie Hairspray when Amber's on the one kiddie ride and then it comes around the corner and she's pukes. And then our friend was like, what a twat. So whenever we see someone puke, we go, twat.
But I have to say, it's probably gotten worse because our oldest cat, like, he pukes and then, like, he gets scared of it. So, like, there's this
Well, he
whole,
always
like,
has to back away while he's licking his chops going, but it's not just that he pukes. It's like, it's a hairball thing.
Yeah.
Because all our cats before him, we gave them hairball control food. But when we had him, he had like a little bit of a blockage. So we had to get him like the urinary tract health, blah, blah, blah. So that's why I think. And sometimes when he does puke, it's like I can see a little clump of black hair. And it's like, oh, from cleaning his brothers. What a sweetheart. But
we should get some of that gel again. But that's icky too.
Yeah, it is.
Ugh.
he pukes at least once a week,
It's
if
just-
not 2 or 3 times.
He like pukes and then he like gets scared of it and then he does like this like and then he jumps in the air. And the whole time I'm like, oh my God, the puke is so disgusting. And then the thing is,
Like Carl's ever cleaned it up.
I can't clean it up because as soon as you touch the warmth, you're just like,
Oh yeah.
Can I tell you a secret? Can I tell you a secret?
my Ryan?
As someone who cleans up the vomit, I'd rather touch it when it's warm than when it's cold.
Yes.
When it's been there a while, it's like, oh,
It's so gross when it's
I
cold.
bought this contraption because my dog is the size of a buffalo, and it's like a clamshell, and so you put the bag around it, and then you go and you scoop up the poops, and then you put the bag over because I can't touch the warmth
Yeah.
through the bag.
Yeah.
yeah.
you can touch my warmth anytime, baby. It means I'm gonna shit on your floor.
Oh no. Oh.
So,
Only if you make eye contact. Make it wrong.
While your dad waves at me for a wicker chair.
I'm so grossed out right now.
Only because
Why
there's
our
actual
food-
poop out of a butt.
And our food isn't touching.
Well, the food isn't touching. So.
that's all right. Let's go to my mouth now. I was just thinking of this when we were just the two of you started. I was thinking about, I was just to the dentist recently for my annual checkup, and everyone go to your dental and medical checkups.
Oh, I need to. Yeah. Thank you.
And when they're scraping and cleaning, and then your saliva and the water,
Yeah,
and
that's-
everything starts to gather, and you're just please just give me the suction thing already.
Slipper.
Because the whole time I'm like, what does this look like to the hygienist? This is disgusting.
That's actually the point where Courtney jumps up and grabs them and shouts profanities.
Do I hate when they there's a piece of grit or something that they've worked out of somewhere, and
Yeah.
it's get rid of it.
Oh my God. When I was probably third grade, they were doing the scraping. And I guess at that point, I never really understood what getting your teeth cleaned really was. And they scraped whatever, and then they wiped it on the smock. Right. And then I saw it and I was like, oh my God, that came out of my mouth. And now it's on the smock, and I'm just staring at it, and I can't get rid of it. It's just sitting there. And I was like, I got over it.
Like your cat.
Sorry that I'm interrupting
No, you're
so
fine.
much, but one of these days I'm going to just give in to my inner, what's that word? Where you want to do something, but you've,
Your intrusive thoughts.
yes, I'm going to give into it. And you know how that thing that looks like the light that's above you? I just
Yeah.
wanted to touch it with my foot. Just fucking once. See if I can.
You just want to make the police blotter.
I don't think you can.
bet you I could.
No,
It's
be careful.
It's closer in your
Be-
torso than you think.
Be careful with the intrusive thoughts of the dentist, because when I was 6, they left the room and I was like, I wonder what happens if I touch this. And some drill thing started going up, and I was like, oh, push it again. And it didn't stop. And I'm like, oh no. And she came in and she turns it off. She goes, that's why we don't touch things in the dentist's office. I'm like, I'm 6. Leave me alone.
What's your excuse going to be?
I don't know, but I'm going to do it. I'm gonna
I
film
think
it.
we'll just get her a T-shirt that just says "I'm slowly losing it," so people just cut her a break. I mean,
Can
yeah.
it be in the chocolate bar font?
if she's okay with it? Yeah.
Teeth and mouth related also. I can't stand the chew bottles. You know?
Oh, yes.
And I don't understand why individuals think that this is okay. Just sitting in your truck,
Yeah.
just sitting in your car. What's up?
I'm just thinking of the hypocrisy.
What's the hypocrisy?
Do you remember that time when you were sick and you couldn't swallow?
I
very
thought
well?
about this today.
So there was a plastic cup that was my grandma's. It was when we were kind of living at her house for a little while. Well, I still lived there, and Carl was technically homeless for a summer. And Carl would and he couldn't swallow his spit, so he would just spit it in there. And after a few days, I found it and was like, oh. And I went to in my mind, well, I'll wash it, but I went to pour it out, and it was just this slimy, goopy, and I went, oh, I just threw it in the garbage. I'm like,
Oh.
I'll never, ever, ever think of this cup again until right now.
Happy allergy season. I thought about it earlier today.
You okay,
But just-
Courtney?
See, I was thinking about the time you spit the Eucharist, but But that was in a disposable McDonald's cup.
That's
though.
true.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
Carl's got good spit stories.
My oldest aunt had a great story about when she was a kid and they were playing and they were quit playing around so much. And mind you, this was the late 40s, early 50s. And they knocked over my great grandpa's spittoon. So The punishment was the kids had to wash it.
Ew.
Oh,
Natural consequences.
ew.
Okay,
I didn't say they were good.
No. I'm agreeing with you. I'm saying ew to the stuff. No. And next up, we've got the Ryan.
So I struggled to figure out what order to do these in, but I think I'm going to go with my like non-academic ones first.
Yeah. That makes
So-
sense.
this is his. Oh, he's so cute, but I'm embarrassed a little bit.
What? Not from you. You're beautiful.
There's no judgment here.
So on May 5th, 2018,
Yes.
I posted on Facebook, I know I'm just a crabby old man, but I have no time for people who say cringy. Hashtag get off my lawn. And that word still bugs me.
What's wrong
There's
with
this-
lawn?
There's this thing. There's something about it the way like, oh, that's so cringe. Like if you said cringe inducing, I'd be like, yes, I agree. But because it's like, I just can't be bothered to say the whole word. And I know that's dumb because that's how language works and it evolves, but it's like, I don't like it. And that falls into a whole thing with me, like, because I have this reputation among people of being like this grammar Nazi, and I'm not. Every person has internal grammar, and every person hears things and says, ooh, that sounds wrong, or ooh, that sounds okay. And no one's right or wrong because grammar is invented. And like, did a whole class where we talked about like the laws of the English language aren't really laws. Like, depending on where you live, certain things make sense and certain things, blah, blah. But I correct my own grammar when I say something, I go, oh, no, it's this. And like, I'm big on adverbs. I'm big on like I don't take it personal. I won't. I'll take it personally. But like, that's because the wrong thing hits my ear and like really does like hurt my head
I
a little
will
bit.
say,
It's like, ooh,
Ryan,
no,
the grammar
no.
I learned in the 2nd grade, that's like
Right,
the
yep.
law in my brain.
Right. But I hate it because I feel like in my mind, in my neurotic little brain, it's like someone would hear someone say, well, you know, policing people's grammar is a form of racism. And someone would be like, yeah, Ryan's racist. And I'd be like, no, because I would never tell someone who has a dialect different than mine, learn how to speak English.
Okay,
That's
I can
never what
see-
I would say.
Right.
I can
It's
see
like-
that, but
it's
I
like-
wouldn't just right away jump to the racism thing.
But it is. If someone like speaks a certain way and you'd be like, "Ugh, it's this. And it's like, well,
I
they
guess
grow up in
I
the
was thinking,
South
like,
and that's
if
how
my
they talk.
sister uses incorrect grammar.
Yeah.
So yeah,
right.
never mind.
Yeah, and that's where like there's the grayness of the area of pronunciation comes into play. But even then,
Yeah.
But there are words and phrases and things that do hit my head a certain way and really do bother me. I hate when people say, I seen that. Like, it's exactly. It's
I
just,
do
it's like,
that a lot.
it's like, because it's just like, that is so,
I have seen that.
there was a thing about like grammar structure and rules, and it was like, what's one that's fragrantly flouted, which just means like constantly. And that was someone said like, when people say seen instead of saw, I'm like, oh my God, yes. And the thing that bugs me is like, if you just say I've seen, then it's fine. Then it's the right word. Don't bother me at all.
Courtney, you have such a cute voice. You might be able to pull it off.
And
that might cover
I wouldn't tell a person like, shut up, except for my stepdad and our friend. Those are the only two people that I would make fun of for it.
It's a thing.
It must be. But I worked with a woman who would say it a lot. She's like, oh yeah, I seen that. I'm like,
Do you
No.
catch
Did not.
me doing it a lot? Because I have
No,
made
no.
actually through the years trying to make great effort.
I don't think I've ever noticed you saying it. However, that lady I worked with also referred to the Metropolis Resort as the Metropolis. I was like, that's adorable. Which I think we need to add to our list of
I
things to
almost
say
like
weird
that
names.
name better.
I like it.
Another thing that I hear that bugs me is when people say, because at the end of the day, blah, 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 blah. And it's such an association for me because the people who I used to hear say it a lot were like shitty people who had shitty lives because of their own choices and actions, but acted like, oh, the world's just out to get me. Because at the end of the day, blah, 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 blah. And you're like, oh. So when I hear it, I think of that. I'm like, you've done it to yourself.
Okay.
You've done it to yourself. If someone says, you know, well, but at the end of the day, that's not my problem, that wouldn't bother me. It's like, it's all in the tone. And like, what if you're bitching about stuff like, well, he can do that to me because at the end of the day, blah, 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 blah. And it's always something like, I hate this guy because this and this and this, because at the end of the day, and they say it like 4 times, and I'm like, no, stop saying that.
I kind of think it's like that no offense thing. I think it's like
We're
like
just having an excuse for
like
saying
closer
something shitty.
that whitewashes the
Or
rest
being
of it.
shitty.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is
Can I add a grammar thing though that irritates me because I am very rigid with grammar. When you have a greeting card, like around the holidays, and you are referring to your family in the plural, and you add an apostrophe S.
Oh, good.
Because that makes it possessive.
Right.
And I am not saying the Putnams own anything when I say with love,
we own
the
stuff.
Putnams. The Putnams what?
We own love.
Dog? Home? Squirrel in the backyard? Like what?
No, nobody owns the squirrels.
It's
They're free
just
spirits.
an S at the end.
Another thing.
And if there is already an S at the end of your name, you add an ES.
Right.
Because my maiden name was Alberts. So it's the Albertses.
Right.
Yep.
Otherwise, you have just changed my last name to Albert. And that is incorrect. So that irritates the shit out of me, and it is gross. So I apologize for anybody, but if you need proofreading, I am available. I am grateful to whatever. That's not even the word I wanted.
Another thing that really drives me nuts, and it's not really grammar, it's just misuse of words. I hate the way people say things are just their opinion when it's like you just believe something incorrectly or something that you've said is wrong. That's not an opinion.
Yeah.
An opinion is like if you were to say,
I think pickles are disgusting.
I think pickles are disgusting. That's an opinion. If you say,
Purple's the worst color ever.
that's also an opinion.
Yeah.
But if you said pickles were invented by my grandpa, and I'd be like, no, they weren't. Like, well, that's my opinion. Like, that's not your opinion. You just believe a false fact.
Well,
And I will tell you.
in my opinion, he invented them. So, no offense, but you're an idiot.
So yeah,
At the end of the day.
because at the end of the day,
At the end of the day, you're not going to believe anything I say anyway. So I might as well not even try.
You even worked in a no offense. That applaud that. Good
because
job.
yesterday in the Golden Girls group, someone posted a picture of, when Dorothy and Blanche have the same dress, and a picture from the flashback episode, the fake flashback episode, where they go to Dorothy's birthday at Mr. Haha.
Sure.
Blanche has similar sleeves. And they said, I never noticed that she has the same dress. Okay, first of all, why would she wear a freaking gown
Well,
to a hot dog place? Even though they didn't know that's where they were going, but like it's
hot
still.
dog places are pretty glam.
And so someone, said, oh, I never noticed this. Like, well, you didn't because it's not. And I had to say, like, and there's that whole thing, like, well, you don't have to correct people. You don't have to, like, not correcting people when they're just wrong about, even if it's about something stupid like this. But it's like,
Well, why do we have to be so offended by it? Like,
Right.
It isn't.
Right.
Oh, I guess you're right. Like, it isn't the same dress.
because
not a big deal.
I said it wasn't, someone else said it wasn't, and they were like, yeah, it's a little modified. Because someone showed a picture from a different angle, and it's like it's clearly she's wearing like a button up top and like a camisole kind of like it's like it's not that dress. She's like, well, they just modified it. I said, wait a minute. So let me get this straight. They took the gown she wore in season 3 and modified it into this outfit for Dorothy's birthday at the end of season 1. Did they time travel? And they're like, well, you don't have to be mean. It's just my opinion. I'm like, it's not a fucking opinion. You're just wrong.
That's your opinion.
Right?
Well, at the end of the day, you're just being mean.
Maybe. But I get fed up.
I just want you to know, I seen that.
You seen that dress?
I've seen that dress.
I seen your post.
I have a personal ick. It's what I call possibly spoiled food.
Oh.
It's not necessarily food that is spoiled, but like
There's
one
potential?
time I was like, I don't know how old our jelly is. So I opened the thing and I smelled it.
I was just about to say the jelly.
And I gagged like, oh my God, it smells horrible. And then when I really like put my face in there again, smelled it again, it was like, oh, actually it smells fine. But that first whiff was just like so sour. It wasn't like C. diff sour, but it was. So now, like, I'm always paranoid about food because I think about the older I've gotten, the more I'm like, you buy ketchup, you buy jelly, some of that food you don't use every single day, and it's like it can go bad. And my mom's always like, "Oh, you think about that too much." I'm like, because people die because they eat this shit. That's like, shouldn't eat that.
To me, a food that just always smells gross is like milk. So like I'll open that up to see, and I'll know that it doesn't smell sour, so I know it hasn't gone bad, but it still is just like, bleh. I don't like the smell of it.
Sometimes like around the rim or the cap, like
sometimes
it turns.
Crusty.
I always have to pour a little and take a sip. Like I have to make sure, because in certain stores that we get milk from, it's like it's good for about 3 days after the date, and some places it's like it's bad 3 days before the date.
There's a grocery store that I do not buy chocolate milk from because I swear to God, every time we would get it, it was icky.
Yeah.
Like, and there was once Seth kept saying, he's like, Mom, I don't think this is good. I'm like, I just bought it. Like, it should be fine. And then we smelled it and I'm like, oh God, nope.
Yeah.
You are right. I am so sorry. Like, don't drink that.
I'm picky about milk. I like milk from Quick Trip.
Yeah.
We
I'm
tend
the
to buy from
opposite.
there a lot.
I think Quick Trip milk smells like farmy or something.
Oh, okay.
You
Interesting.
ever know, sometimes you buy milk and it's fine, but it has like a weird little, like, I call it skanky, but it's not like sour or spoiled, but it has a little like a plasticky taste, and it's just certain times it's just like
Yeah.
It probably just depends on the equipment that. Like,
that. I always wonder
milk
that is it
equipment.
just something,
Equipment, packaging.
Yeah.
maybe-
or like when it was getting shipped, maybe it sat out a
Yeah,
little longer than it
yeah,
should have, but it's
yeah.
still okay. But it's like
Potentially not great.
Yeah.
that's my opinion.
Because even like if it got in some sunlight, it could break down the plastics
Sure.
on some level.
So this one isn't directly an ick in all situations, but it's just like my aesthetic pleasure often is thrown off by piercings, and not all piercings. Like nipple rings doesn't really bother me, but there's just certain things like if I see like a boy and I'm like, oh, he looks such a like nice boy next door, and then he gets his ear pierced, it's like, oh, he changed the whole thing for me, and it's like, oh, I don't like it anymore. And it's like, so what? It's just my stupid little opinion, and who cares? And it's completely superficial. It doesn't mean anything.
It's your opinion, Ryan.
Right. And Carl used to have earrings, and I didn't mind his.
I
They
like
looked fine
your
in his.
earrings.
Yeah, I liked them too.
You're so
nice.
cute.
But I've also said you don't need to like get them pierced or something. Like that's fine. You don't need to do that. But there are certain things like tongue piercings. They gross me out only because it's in your mouth
Yeah.
all the time. And it's not like I see someone with a tongue ring and go, oh, they're gross. It's not like that. It's just if I think about it enough, it's like
I
all the
don't
things
like
I
when
hate
they
about
play with it and you can like see it and it's like that's,
just because
I just don't like tongues.
I'm such a weird thing with like mouth and bacteria and teeth anyway. So when I think of like, there's a piece of metal that just sits in your mouth, and I know you brush your teeth and you clean everything, but like that part doesn't matter to my ick about it. It's just like, nope, doesn't matter. It's still gross to me. Because my cousin had one for a while, and she would tell me like, oh yeah, I got it caught and blah blah blah, and it pulled, and I'm like, oh. And I think that's why sometimes like belly button rings freak me out. Not if I just see one, but the idea of like fooling around with someone that had one, I'd be like, it's gonna rip out, and it probably won't. That's probably an irrational fear of mine, but it's like it's gonna get snagged on something. I'm so scared.
That's
Yeah.
fair.
However, if you have a nice wiener and you pierce it, that will often make me go, oh, you ruined it. But again, it's just my aesthetic
Yeah.
scale of what I think is pleasing to the eye. It has nothing to do with the actual beauty of the person or the thing. Because one of my friends has very nice nipple rings, and she showed them to me. It's like, they do look very nice on your nipples. They're a very nice little addition. And she and I think we need to do like a kind of a bondagey boudoir photo shoot together, because it'd be funny. And
Oh, sure.
There you go.
people would be like, look at this hot couple. And we'd be like, that's not a couple.
I mean, if you use a Groupon together,
Might-
might as
we
well
might.
be a couple.
Certain mouth and eating sounds.
Oh, yeah.
I'm really weird about sound, and the older I get, the more I catch it. So like if you're like tapping your pen, it doesn't bother me. But if it's like a little rhythmic, but not enough rhythmic, it's like, oh, stop it.
Oh, sure. I can see that.
Like I'd get annoyed if I was going to sleep and that was happening.
Carl hates plastic bags.
I do hate
and
plastic
like
bags.
I hate it if it's like
Like the noise or just
Yeah.
all around.
That crinkly, like
if like it's starting and then it kind of stops and then it starts again. It's like, just make the noise. It's like the anticipation of the noise drives me crazy. I have this weird ick that I don't know how to describe, and I don't know if there's a word for it, but it's like the way things in nature hide inside other things in nature, and you don't know, like, you know what an acorn looks like, and in your mind it's just an acorn. But one time there was an acorn like in our classroom, and someone stepped on it, and whatever came out looked like a feather, and I know it wasn't. I don't know what I actually saw, but like the idea that there was a bird feather inside an acorn was like, oh, I'm gonna puke.
Yeah.
And it all started when I was a kid and I was like eating peanuts and they were shelled. So it wasn't the nut part of it, but it was like the actual nut. And when I pulled the nut apart, there's like that weird little sprouty thing that's inside sometimes.
Yeah. That's how it reproduces.
It scared the shit out of me because I never knew that was there. I thought it was just a solid and you break them apart. I never saw that little chunk. So it was like, this has been inside here the whole time. And it just startled me. Like,
Well, it's part of it.
but I didn't know that. So like helicopter seeds.
Oh, yeah.
When you break those open and there's the little seed inside.
Yeah.
The first time I saw that, it was like, whoa, there's a green thing in here.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It feels really cool.
You know, I'm
know.
gonna agree with you. One that got me when I was little. I remember the first time I was shucking corn. And man, I shucked corn before, but the first time I did it and there was a worm that got in.
Yeah.
Oh.
That grossed me
Yeah.
out so much.
That's
and
the
it's
same
like,
kind of thing.
oh,
That's why I can't eat apples that aren't cut up
yeah.
because I'm afraid that I'm going to bite into a
Well,
worm.
even like the seeds inside an apple, when you think about the apple structure and like you cut it, like we know the seeds are there, but when you think of like how they sit inside, it's like, oh, there's just something like unnerving to me about it. And I don't know what it is. It's
It's
some
a good thing you don't have a uterus.
for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Seth was in there once.
That's a little
a
different.
while.
That's a little different. If you didn't know he was there and then all of a sudden you found like it's coming out, then
That would be unnerving.
Oh, and
It's
that
like- well, like,
aging placenta. Ugh.
You know, I couldn't help it.
I was
when
just making a joke.
when caterpillars are in the cocoon,
Yeah.
chrysalis, like the idea that stuff is going on inside there kind of
So
weirds me out.
amazing.
I think that's where I am.
And when they start to like,
Amazing.
when they start to crawl out, like
Have you
it's
ever seen like a hermit crab crawling out of its shell to switch into it?
yeah, kind of that. And I think part of it when I was in high school, I had to get bugs for like a little
Oh, you had
project.
to, we did that in 6th grade. I hated it.
And my aunt was like, "Oh, well, there's a like when you work for the phone company, there's like these
Bug collections that you can file.
no, but there's like
neat.
these little shacks around the town, like around
Yeah.
the city, where like
Little boxes that are like
and you
little
can
switch.
but you go
things.
inside that you can go not in it, but it's like a little shack almost. And she like said, "Oh, there's a grasshopper that's been laying there for like a week, and I'm sure it's dead. I can just grab it for you." I'm like, "Cool." So she did. She brought it and she gave it to me, and when I went to pin it to my little board, I poked it, and like 4 little bugs crawled out. Yeah, exactly, because they were like it was dead, and some little bugs were like living in there.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh,
That's all the same kind of like ick for me. It's like,
Yeah.
beautiful
There's-
when they're
there's something
becoming-
inside there.
Yeah. Oh, yuck.
Pretty gross when they're dead.
No thanks. If they're... Ugh.
So like the book James and the Giant Peach just must
Oh, I
really
loved
gross
that
you out.
book.
Not really.
Oh, a bunch of bugs like living in a peach. That's cool.
Well, but because it's not like I found the peach and then
Fair.
the bugs are like surprise.
Yeah.
That is a terrible surprise.
But that leads into one I'll do one of my academic
See, the
ones.
academic, yeah.
My
See?
trypophobia. Trypophobia. Let me find I got the fun Wikipedia definition. Is an aversion to the sight of repetitive patterns or clusters of small holes or bumps. It is not officially recognized as a mental disorder. Good, because I don't need another one. But maybe diagnosed as a specific phobia if excessive fear or distress occurs. Mine is less about if repetitive. It's more like when in nature if it's random. But like the little holes, and it looks like there's something that could like poke out of it or
Well, that
squirt
makes
out.
sense because you're afraid of things living inside of other things.
Right. So like
It's
this,
extension of it.
like the picture they use for the example is like
What about
these-
like a beehive?
these
Are you
seed
okay
pods.
with it?
It kind of grosses me out if the bees are kind of like
I just think
wiggling
it's
in and out of
amazing
there.
That they like make them.
But because that's so pattern oriented, it doesn't really bother me.
Oh,
because
fair.
it's like
It's very structured.
Yeah.
Yeah.
right. If it's more random like this, it's like, ooh, that's a little icky. And it doesn't like disturb me or make me want to
Yeah.
throw up, but it's just like, oh. And I think it's like this weird monkey brain carryover where it's like, there could be a snake in that hole. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
And so
Yeah.
if you Google trypophobia, the pictures they show you, they're
Yeah,
like
they're
all
gross.
CGI, but they're disgusting.
Is it like just some sort of fear of chaos on a fundamental level?
well, I could see like Freddy Krueger makeup of like his burns
Okay.
triggering someone's trypophobia because it's kind of sometimes it's like that, or it's like someone's hand and like this part of their like the fat of their thumb pad is like all holes and like has
No.
weird little like it looks like a honeycomb almost, and it's like
Yeah. That is kind of gross.
but it's mine's very minor, but it's just I know that my brain goes ugh. Courtney just Googled
Why are you looking at it? Knock it off.
Yeah.
That for some reason
I wanna
that
see
just
that.
did me in. I get it.
But that's a CGI. That's not real.
Yeah,
I
right?
know,
right.
but
Real.
just see, I don't know.
That's messed up.
Sometimes when I look at those things, I'll look at it and be like, oh, so grossed out. But then I think about it for like a day and I have to look at it again to get it to go away.
Oh yeah.
And there was like a video of a dog that had in like Africa who sat on where like a botfly thing was. So like it got a bunch of like, they're like maggots, but they're not quite. And so like the doctor's like squeezing them out.
Ugh.
And like, exactly. It was this total trypophobia. But at the same time, I was like, I have to watch it at least one more time to get it like out of my system
cleanse
or
the
I'll keep
palate.
thinking about it.
Yeah, that's fair.
I can see that too. Yeah.
You're talking about Sporty Spice's tooth.
Yeah.
I'm weird about teeth and I'm very picky. And it's like, and I don't think about most people's teeth, but they're like, if they're really janky and it's like, my brain thinks like, oh, how do you brush them properly? Because like everyone, like crowding makes sense to me.
Yep.
Crooked teeth makes sense to me. But sometimes when it's really, it's
Yep.
like, do you get that tooth clean at all? And I think about these things, right? But I also hate when people have too nice of teeth. Not usually when they're naturally like nice. If someone had braces or whatever, that's fine. But when people are like get veneers,
I had a dentist like that. It creeped me out.
and it looks like, remember in Something About Mary, Matt Dillon's character overhears the conversation about the bigger and whiter the better, and he's like, oh, and he goes and gets these like giant. I feel like that's what people get now, and it's like, no, that looked bad. That was the joke, and people do it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
and it's again my opinion, but sometimes people get their teeth fixed when it's like your teeth were perfectly fine. And then I'm like, maybe that's some of my insecurity of like, oh, are my teeth not good enough for that person? But I don't think that's it. It's like when it looks like you photoshopped the same tooth over and over. It's like that. When old people get dentures, it's because they're old. And when young people get veneers like that, it's like, you look old to me now. Like you have old people teeth.
I can see that. That makes sense to me.
So they're not really icks. They're just things that I
Yeah.
think about. It's like, ugh, I don't like, because there's a whole thing about Matt Rife and him, whatever. And like, I never knew what his old teeth looked like. And I Googled it and I was like, they were fine. He had a gap. Like it was fine. And then he got these like,
Speaking of gaps, though, what do you think of like the Strahan gap?
that's fine.
Okay.
It's adorable.
Cool.
But that's the thing. Like
it's natural.
when people's
Yeah.
teeth look like, hey, that looks like this person's teeth. Great. And then when they get it fixed, it's like, you don't look like you
I
anymore.
like that he made it like his gimmick, his thing, you know?
So I have this thing called
love you
trigger
just saying teeth,
trigger
sorry.
finger.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that's what it was called, but I had noticed the condition happening to me every once in a while. Like if I fall asleep on my on my right side, my arm will fall asleep, which is weird because on my left side, my left arm doesn't really fall asleep that much. It's very odd. And like a lot of times, and I think it's from my job too and using my right arm so much every day, but my ring finger on my right hand gets what's called trigger finger, where it's like if I bend my hand, like it's not doing it right now, but sometimes it'll do it where it's like if it gets to a certain point, when I go to bend it up, it goes boink. Like it doesn't smoothly move. It just bounces.
That runs in my family. My dad and his brother both had the surgery to fix
Yeah.
that.
So a trigger finger happens when the tendon that controls that finger can't glide smoothly in the sheath that surrounds it. So basically they cut your hand open and cut the sheath so that it slides up.
Yep.
I watched a little CGI animation of it and Carl was like, oh my God. I'm like, but you know what's funny? The CGI of like the hand opening with the hole and you can see the thing, even though it's not real, that kind of grosses me out. Like, oh, it's fake, but it's still like,
Yeah.
oh.
That makes sense.
Or like a CGI of watching wisdom teeth be removed.
Ew.
Do you know what I mean? Like, and they're like cartoony, but it's still like, ew, they're inside the gums. It's like, it goes back to the inside hiding nature thing.
Yeah, your mouth's hiding your teeth. Good thing you weren't aware when your teeth were coming in.
Oh, have you ever, don't Google it, but like a baby skull?
Oh.
Because they have
Because
their,
they've got all of their
and it's
chompers.
kind of scary.
They're like sharks. Ooh, does that creep you out?
Sharks?
Well, because they've got like multiple
Rows of teeth?
No,
Yeah,
no,
okay.
not really, because they're sharks, so they're already scary.
All right.
Okay, this is just a random one that I found when like surfing through the internet. There's a picture of Tim Curry on the set of Legend, but he doesn't have the horns in.
Oh, I've seen that picture. Yeah.
And for some reason that like the hornless opening is like, ew, that's so gross to me. Cause it's like, I don't know, like this idea that like if you pull a part of a body part out and like the thing remaining is like this open gaping. It's just weird. I don't know.
It reminds me of that plant that grows up in Bayfield that you can kind of pull out. And, Yeah.
Yeah, plants kind of creep me out a little bit. The way like seeds turn into, yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah.
But we remember in like first grade we watched the freaking, not stop motion, but time lapse photography of a seed turning into whatever, and it was like, oh, ugh. I know. Sometimes they don't have words; they're just sounds.
It's okay. I like it. I like these little insights to little quirks.
So this one's minor. This one just happened one time. I was driving with a friend while I was riding, and they are typically a very clean, almost prissy person, I would dare say. And he, while driving, picked his nose with his thumb, which I'm not judging picking your nose because I pick my nose all the time. You gotta clear out the filter. That's what you gotta do. But he picked his nose, and instead of like using his other fingernail to like get the pick and flick would have been fine. He put his thumb in his mouth and pulled the booger off with his teeth, then spit the booger out the window and looked at me and immediately said, "Don't judge me." I can't help it. That was so unnecessarily gross.
God. Imagine what else he pulled out from under that thumbnail.
Well, right? That's why I was like,
Yeah, that's bad.
okay. That one was just a personal ick of something that happened to me one time.
I will
and I was
say
like, "Perf."
this: if you have like a picking your nose ick, one thing that really shocked me cultural wise when we were in China, like picking your nose in front of somebody, like they don't really think about it because like
the air quality is so terrible.
But there were so many people that would just like, as I'm talking, just start picking because it's not a thing over there.
Yeah,
it's not like culturally unacceptable. It didn't scare me. It didn't freak me out. But like it was a shock at first. I'm just like, really? You're just gonna dig in there? Oh, this is a thing we do. Okay.
But like, I don't, because their air quality is so yucky.
Oh, it was
like every time you blow your nose, it was just like black because there was so much junk.
I was there for 2 weeks. There was only 2 days where you could see the sun, and it was never because of rain clouds.
Yeah, it was just gray. It was never blue skies.
All right. So my last two are kind of connected, and they're kind of both connected to the uncanny valley, which is like the fear of like things that are almost real but not quite. So automatonophobia,
I don't know
the fear of automatons, wax figures, humanoid robots, audio animatronics, and other figures designed to represent humans.
Yep.
Doesn't have to be human for me though. But they don't freak me out like I'm scared of them. They give me like the willies, but that's kind of why I like them. So like going on Pirates of the Caribbean is kind of a thrill ride for me because like, this is so creepy, but I like it.
Yeah, it's like a scary movie for you.
But Pirates of the Caribbean also ties into the other. It doesn't float.
No, but like it's not doing anything.
It's on a track. Hence the submechanophobia, which is fear of submerged human-made objects, either partially or entirely underwater. Now, I don't really have this the way some people do, where it's like, oh my God, there's a car in the water, and they get all disgusted. It's like, for me, it's like there was a picture of someone working at Disney World, like cleaning the track on Pirates of the Caribbean. So the lights are on, the pirate things are off, but they're in the background, and there's a guy in waders like standing in the thing, and I'm like, oh my God, it would freak me out so much to be standing in that water. Like,
Yeah.
or there was that video recently of the guy on It's a Small World where he got out of the boat and like walked around and stuff. Like, I could not. I don't think I physically could make myself walk amongst that stuff. Like,
I would love to walk amongst them.
Okay, but just because, you know, I'm a Disney nerd, it wouldn't be so bad in It's a Small World because there's nothing in the water track there. With like Pirates of the Caribbean, there is stuff under the water.
But it still creeps me out because it's like, I know the water gets refreshed and changed all the time, but there's part of my brain that's like, no, that water's been there since the 50s.
Right, no.
It hasn't, but it's still like, in my mind, it's like this old antique-y.
Pretty sure it's slightly chlorinated too.
Probably. But just like,
They don't want to get stanky.
I think it's kind of like this idea of these objects are made and they represent humans and they're real enough to move. And like the part of my monkey brain is like, it's trying to trick me. Do you know what I mean? Even though consciously I know it's not scary, it's fine. But it's the same thing. I think it stems when I was a little kid. The Sears in town used to have like this big bird.
Yeah.
And he had like droopy eyes. He was creepy. He didn't look like the big bird on TV. And my mom's friend was like, I told them I don't like that. It scares me. And so she was like, oh, okay. And she picked me up and brought me over to it.
Obviously.
So like, I feel like that's kind of part of where it starts. What I love about submechanophobia though is when you look for videos on YouTube, the stuff you will find. It's like the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea ride at Disney
Yeah.
is big for submechanophobia because some of the people, like the girls who were mermaids, would swim in with all the animatronic shit going on underneath there. And like that terrifies me. Like the idea that there's stuff under the water that you on the surface in your head, you're like, it's just water and sand. It's like, no, there's stuff under there. And it's like, one good example that you find in a lot of videos about it is there's Lake Neuchatel in, I don't remember what country it's in. But there's someone made like an artsy, cartoony shark. And when they didn't need it anymore, they just thought it'd be funny to put it in the water there. So there's just this like terrifying fake shark that when people scuba dive.
Oh, that's.
I mean, don't go scuba diving.
But I just mentioned like you're swimming and there's like the murky water and you see that and your first thought is a shark. And then you're like, it's not a real shark. That's almost creepier.
I'm that way with like shipwrecks or like a band. Like, yeah, you get it.
Like Jaws the ride, there was a guy who early on fell in and people thought it was part of the show, but he like, oh, I fell off the boat. And like they got him out just in time. And he says what he recounts is like he saw the shark coming at him. And like it's just a machine. It would have just slammed right into him and probably killed him. But like the idea of being in the water with the fake shark is just as scary to me as being in the water with real sharks. It's like
Or like sometimes you've had the fear like too of those kind of rides and those things. Like no one goes there. No one touches that. Like,
which I know isn't true. I know that like the workers can walk behind there and everything, but in my mind it's like it's inaccessible to humans. It's just there. And like when they filmed the movie Anaconda, they're like, oh, it's this animatronic snake and you have to be in the water with it. I'm like, couldn't have done it. Would have been like, sorry, you're gonna have to hire somebody else. Couldn't have been J-Lo in that situation.
No, I get it.
But those are like my submechanophobia and automatophobia because the uncanny valley is very big in my head of that's real, but it's not real. I think I'm very tuned in with my caveman brain of like, oh, that's trying to trick me. Don't let it. Because sometimes even like, especially if they're old mannequins or like old Santa Claus statues that are from like the 40s, like it's terrifying. It's something about it being older makes
it's kind
it
of
scary
funny because like I'm sure some people would be like, oh, that stuff's haunted or something, but it's not that fair.
It's not that for me. It's just this weird like it's existed longer than I have and it just kind of sits there.
Sure.
So so that's why my brain is
funny
wacky.
that you mentioned that because like do you remember when there was like videos from early like atomic bomb testings and they just built an entire house and had like a little fake family in there? The video of that creeped me out for some reason.
No, exactly. Because I've told Carl when Matchbox cars sometimes had the little dog in the back seat.
Yeah.
Oh yes,
The fact that the dog didn't have any features, it was just this like I was afraid of it. Like that thing in there is scary.
Yeah, you had that in our fear episode.
Yeah, see?
Yeah.
I remember.
Call back. I didn't even realize.
That was inside of something else.
No, it was. I think the
Partially.
featurelessness made it seem ominous to me,
I feel
and
like
I feel
you don't like Russian dolls.
I have a bunch of them actually.
That's what's
Those don't bother me at all.
Well, that's fun.
All right. Well,
If I were to open it and there'd be like
Different shape.
something else inside it, like I open it up and there's like
Rick James.
I don't know, but something weird like
I'm gonna put an acorn in there.
like I open it and there's like a plant growing in dirt inside there that I didn't know was there. That would probably be like, oh.
Yeah.
Or like a marshmallow.
But something that like something that you would find in a basement that you wouldn't want to open up. Surprise! There's like something growing inside, mold or something. That gross me out.
I do love the idea though of you open it up and there's just a tiny Rick James in there. That would make me happy.
Would he still be alive?
It would probably be like a little doll version of Rick James. It wouldn't actually be a miniature. Well, okay, it'd be really fun if it was a miniature Rick James. But
Just for any listeners who want to know, the shark that I was talking about, it's in Switzerland.
oh, cool. Leave it to the.
It's like outside. If I remember correctly, it's outside of like there's like a restaurant that has a pier that you can dive off of, and it's like somewhere right off of that. Like, have fun.
That's creepy.
And with that, I hand the mic over to whoever.
Okay. Well, I have a couple that I can go over. So let me go. I didn't have that many because I don't know. I have plenty of icks, but they're more like normal things. Like when it comes to snakes, like I'm not particularly scared of snakes, but at the same time, I don't want one slithering over my foot. I don't like snakes, but I figured
Their
that's
mouths are
just,
terrifying.
yeah. So I wanted to stay away from the generic stuff that's just common. So and this my first one actually probably is pretty common, but at like arenas or big carnival places where they have just a giant pee trough instead of individual urinals. I hate that. It's just disgusting because it's like I need a barrier of like because when somebody's peeing next to me, you know, things are kind of spraying
Splashy.
and stuff. I don't want that.
Marines.
I definitely had little kid pee on me once. Like,
Yeah.
not the stream didn't hit me, but the splashback was definitely
So,
hitting my hand. I'm like,
don't-
oh, child.
I don't want to be a dick about it, but like when I go to a place and they have just the big trough that everyone uses, I go and pee in the regular toilet stall.
Nothing wrong with that.
Okay. Well, yeah. Next personal ick is milk in a paper carton. Now that's rooted from when I was younger. I had a teacher that had warm milk and they'd force me to drink it. But to this day, there's just something about like the soft cartony stuff and like it touching my lips while I'm drinking.
I don't particularly like drinking from the carton either.
I hate when you didn't like open it perfectly.
Yeah.
Like you get that like wet cardboard.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That,
Yeah.
The little fuzz almost.
Yeah. I didn't like that. It
So even like if it was orange juice or something different in a carton, why did I say it so freaking
I would
weird?
rather pour it into a glass than drink it from the carton. But that I could at least do.
Gary doesn't
you-
drink orange juice though.
In theory, would you
Well,
be okay if I gave you like
In my mind, I just so Courtney, I substituted like Sunny Delight in my head.
Got it.
But
That
yeah.
he will drink.
And the orange juice ones, they were the cool ones because they eventually came out with their stick your straw in there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I love that.
Well, we like that's what we would do with the ones that with the milk too. You like just pop it open a little bit and put the
No,
straw
but they
in.
have the straw hole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, if I get a container of like half and half or heavy whipping cream, that comes in sometimes the paper container.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that because I don't drink out of it.
Then it's just a container.
Yeah, it's just a
Yeah.
container. But if like the whole touching my lips is just bleh.
Yeah.
So in theory, would you like would if you had to drink out of a milk carton and I just like here's a straw? Would you be like would that be better?
If it wasn't milk, yes.
Oh,
Because just in general, because of that, I don't really like milk that much.
oh,
Yeah, I
how
can.
are we gonna have an Oreo party? I'm just kidding.
No. There's certain things that call for milk no matter what. Like if I'm eating Oreos, I have to have milk. So you're right
good,
there.
Good.
That actually was a very good example. So next up, I've got I've got a couple that kind of go together. So I do have a little category. But like shoes and socks, I need my own personal socks and shoes. I don't like other people wearing my socks or my shoes.
That's
it's
fair.
like those are mine. So like I can let it slide a little bit with Seth because he's my kid. But like anyone else, like if we were like camping and somebody didn't have socks, I'd be like I'd be
Sorry.
like the guy just waiting for somebody else to volunteer. 'Cause, like I don't want to.
I think one time I asked if I could put on your Crocs or something just to go out to my car to grab something. And I think you said okay, unless they were Amanda's.
No, I probably would let you.
Oh, aw.
Well, and just to go out to your
sweet.
car is a little.
But also
Like
like
you're in your own socks.
if
And I was wearing socks.
if you would have had like gross stinky feet that day, Crocs I can just spray down and wash. So
yeah.
he could just do that to your feet too, but he's not.
Yeah.
no, stinky feet are really gross to me. But yeah. But that I put in the category of that's pretty common.
yeah.
Yeah. But to stay in the clothing stuff, like anything wool socks, wool sweaters, wool anything, I cannot stand the feeling of it on my skin. I can't do it. I just, So no wool for me. Turtlenecks. I cannot stand the feeling of turtlenecks on me.
Do you know what I hate about turtlenecks?
What?
It covers up the Adam's apple.
Oh yeah, I suppose if you're really into necks.
There was a guy in college that a lot of us had. I mean, I only knew him a little bit, but a lot of our friends had crushes on him. And I said one day, like, God, you know, when he wears the turtleneck, he doesn't look as hot. And like 3 other friends were like, that's what it is. There's
Yeah.
certain days where he just doesn't do it for me. Like, it was the turtleneck.
There you go. Yeah. Sometimes you just can't cover
Lisa
up the
knows what I'm
sexy.
talking about.
And then thong sandals, but anything between my toes, actually. So, like, even if I like, put on a pair of socks and like a little thread that was in there got in between my toes, I got to take the damn thing off, get the thread out, and then put it back on. I can't do anything between my toes. So, like, any sort of thong sandal or anything that goes between my toes, can't do it.
Well, you'll never be a foot painter then. 'Cause you have to hold the brush between your toes.
I used to practice.
You know,
Love that. I love that.
You're like, I'm going to be prepared for anything in life.
I don't know if that would gross me out because that's more of a tool that I'm manipulating, and it's not just something that lives there.
Sure.
You know, I don't know.
That
I
kind
get
of
it.
makes sense.
Yeah.
That's going to make sense.
But like you wouldn't do toe socks?
No.
Oh.
Couldn't do it. Couldn't do it.
I never liked it either, but I got a pair in like a nerd box of like DC stuff, and they were Beast Boy socks.
Oh, that's fun.
And like and everyone thinks they're Grinch because they look very Christmassy.
Sure. Yeah.
But I put those on, and it's like I actually kind of like it because when your feet are cold, it's like for some reason they're so fuzzy. It's like
yeah.
but typically no, I don't like stuff between my toes either. Really, the between the big toe doesn't bother me. That actually can be satisfying, but between the other toes, it's like I think about it the whole time. Like there's something between those toes.
Yeah. But for me, the big toe is just as bad as any of the other ones. So I can't do it. But I don't judge people that do. You know,
I know.
If somebody else is wearing flip flops, but no, just to clarify, like if I see somebody else in flip flops, I'm not like, oh, gross, get it away.
I mean,
it's just me.
I think for me, like, they're just functional. Like, when I'm playing volleyball and stuff, because I'll wear them.
Sure.
Like, I'll take, because they're easy to throw off. But, like, you know, when we were in Hawaii, I'm more gravitating towards, like, I don't know, what do you cover with, like, the clog saddles, you know, sandals, you know, because you get just open toe all the way around.
Yeah, I always liked the Adidas sandals where it's just kind of like a strap over your
The
foot.
slides.
Yeah. I guess.
Prison sandals.
Yeah.
That's what my brother calls his.
The yard sandals.
The yard sandals.
So that's all I had for like the clothing stuff. I did want to touch on, Ryan brought it up, but sometimes the sound of chewing can be a little much for me. Like to the point where I hate the Nestle Crunch commercials where they have somebody like crunching down on the candy bar. I'm like, that's gross. Don't do it.
I'm
I
very
kinda
my,
like the
I have
sound.
I have a lot of weird sounds that I love and they satisfy me. And there's some like my mom does this thing with her lip, like her. I can't do it like her.
Sure.
It's so sharp and it's just like, and like she knows I don't like it, so sometimes she'll do it and then catch herself and go, "Oh, I'm sorry, everybody, you don't like that." And sometimes she'll touch my shoulder and that bugs me too because it's like combined with the things. Like, no, just stop doing it and it's fine.
But the worst chewing one, shout out to Jackie. She'll remember there's something terrible about listening to Jackie chew cereal in the morning. Oh my God.
Do you know what's really weird? There was when she got her Adams expander. Remember how it like inhibited the way she said certain words?
Yes.
And she really liked this. Like I think it was the Sprecher ginger ale, which it literally made me sick when I drank it. But she's like, I love it because it has real ginger. I think about that all the time, and sometimes I'm like, fucking hate.
She loves the Fever Tree ginger
She
beer.
loves ginger.
Yeah, she does love ginger.
real ginger. It's just so sometimes when I think of ginger ale,
peaches though when she had that. We're like, Jackie, do you like peaches? Peaches. She was more sensitive to it. Like nobody really cared, but she was really like grrr about it. It was a good time. All right, and we're back. So first thing I gotta say is the pet of the week is no one. Y'all stop submitting pet of the weeks. So let's get on that and get some more pet of the weeks, huh?
it's pets of the week.
Grammar Nazi.
No, thank you.
We do want multiple submissions. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Pets of the week. Please,
yeah.
please, get on them. So with that, how about we jump into our biscuit basket? How's that sound, guys?
Is there room for all of us?
Oh, there's room. So we'll start over here, and you. So I believe Courtney, you had one.
Yeah.
All right. Can you kick us off?
So, do you ever? I guess I noticed this mostly like when my son was little, and you're trying to feed an infant, and like you give them a little bite with their spoon, and you catch yourself opening your mouth to match their mouth.
Yeah.
Well, I made this dip, and may I say it was balls-tastic. It was a Mexican corn salsa.
See, usually when a food is really good, Courtney Hollab will say it's the tits.
It's the tits.
There we go.
It was.
Okay,
it was
cool.
the tits. And apparently it was so good that one of my coworkers sitting across from me, as I would take I'd bring the chip close to my mouth, I would see her out of the corner of my eye, and she'd be like, and I'm like, she'd open her mouth every time I took a
The
bite.
best part was that you open your eyes really big too.
It was like so funny. So I'm like, is she really doing what I think she's doing? So I take another bite, and sure enough, she'd be like, and she'd open her mouth, and like every time she's like, oh my God, am I opening my mouth? I'm like, you noticed too? I loved it.
That's such a cute, like, human experience.
I loved it.
Like, it's kind of involuntary, it seems like.
Yeah. I'm like, damn, my food must have looked that good that day.
Nice. Yeah, good for you.
She was
So
trying
is
to, like, inhale it from across the room.
Right?
So I think my burnt biscuit is that you never shared any with us. No, I'm kidding.
Make it.
I'm totally kidding. We can do that someday. All right. You want to pass it on to the next? Or you got...
No,
Okay.
that's it.
All right, Carl, do you want to fill us in on your biscuit?
I got a couple good biscuits. First, I had a wonderful weekend with my Scout Camp staff alumni.
Nice.
We do a spring trip and a fall trip. And the spring trip, we decided from now on we want to try to do like baseball-oriented stuff. So that's pretty neat. And just seeing everyone like after 6 months, not much changes, but like enough stuff changes. So that's kind of neat. So
Nice. Thanks. Ryan.
I have a burnt biscuit.
Ooh, let's hear it.
So we were hanging out with my mom last night, and I was talking about how I discovered what trigger finger was, and I discovered the whatever. And my mom's like, oh, I thought that's what it might be. I'm like, then why didn't you say that when I kept saying my finger, like it's like rubbery, like it just bounces like a rubber band. Like, why wouldn't you say, oh, it sounds like trigger finger, look that up. But whatever. So I'm talking about that, and she's like, oh, yeah. And then she goes, well, what do I think about mine? And her ring finger, it's like, you know when you hyperextend your pointer finger, how like you can get the first joint to just kind of bend? Her ring finger was like that. And she's like, yep, I can move it back up, but it doesn't.
just like droopy.
Well, not even like. And I said, you look like Aunt Joy, or my aunt who has like super arthritic certain fingers, and they're just kind of like grandma fingers, you know? They just get kind of. And so she's like, oh, I don't know. I'm just going to like see what happens. And then I said, well, you're going to go in? She's like, oh, I don't know. I might go to urgent care or something, but I don't know. She's like, it doesn't hurt or anything. But she was like scrubbing something off her car seat, and like her like nail caught, and it just bent her finger weird. And she was, and it didn't hurt. It just after that, it was just her finger was all. So today she sends me this picture of her finger in a splint, a very short, cute splint, but a splint
is.
nonetheless. And she says, I'm on injured reserve. And I said, oh no. And she said, tendon ripped from bone, 6 weeks in a splint with no bending. I'm like, Mommy.
Oh.
And just hearing tendon ripped from bone is one of those things that makes me go, ugh.
Yeah.
It's called mallet finger.
I don't know if it's called mallet finger or if she just said that.
No, that's what I looked up.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's what she
And that's
called.
actually why I said droopy when I said
Oh,
that, because
sure.
it was actually one of the descriptor words. Like,
I think of droopy as like floppy on top.
well, it did kind of look kind of floppy.
But it was solid.
It was creepy.
I get that.
I want y'all to know we had that discussion at Pizza Hut.
Ooh, I love me some Pizza Hut. Yeah. But I'm not really eating a lot of carbs right now, so I have to stay away from the Pizza
Well, let's
Hut.
have some broccoli then.
Yeah. I would like some broccoli. On that note, shall we close this out, guys? All right. Well, thanks everyone for listening to our ick episode. I hope we didn't gross you out too much.
I'm glad we got through it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, now we're going to go listen to Neil Young and Roy Orbison and, while whistling with our teeth and cracking our spit jaws.
Yeah.
Because, at the end of the day.
Because at the end of the day,
I want some sloppy toast.
You know-
That's really what.
I'd seen Amanda do that before.
What?
I don't know. I was trying to use scene wrong.
What did I do?
No, maybe I messed that up. I'm sorry.
Thanks.
So can I have you all say goodnight?
Good night.
Good night.
Adios.
Good night, everyone. Catch you later.
Thank you for listening to Wicker Biscuit, a Podcast Ahoy production. The producers of Wicker Biscuit are Courtney Hollab, Ryan LeMay, and Gary Putnam. Assistant producers are Amanda Putnam and Lisa Rudd. Recording and editing is done by Gary Putnam with Lisa Rudd as the assistant editor. Executive producer of Wicker Biscuit is Gary Putnam. Check out our social media for updates on upcoming pods and for clips and other media referenced in this episode. Links and information can be found in the episode notes. Thanks again from everyone at the Wicker Biscuit family.